in Dreamland.
It looked like the complexion of a dead person in a casket.
Random memories of waking up in the night, knowing I'm not alone in the room.
We have 3 cities that all claim to be the UFO capital of the entire world.
So when she turned on the kid's light, it stopped walking.
My parents told me these things didn't exist.
They're a little more ominous, creepy, scary, and the question is there, what is this thing?
Hovering just inches from the window was literally is what you'd imagine a grave to be.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
I'm still left with more questions than answers.
Welcome back, dreamers. If you've had an encounter, please contact me at somedreamland@gmail.com, find me on social media at somedreamland podcast, or check out the show's new website, dreamlandpodcast.weebly.com. If you're enjoying the show, please help it grow by subscribing, rating, reviewing, and sharing this episode with friends, family, and social media. Tonight, my guest is Alisha Roof. Not only is Alisha the lead investigator with the SCPRAI, for the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigation Group, she's also a quantum healer and a tarot and oracle reader. Alisha brings a lot of great insight into the other side with plenty of stories and research to go along. So without further ado, grab your blanket, turn down the lights, get comfy, and let's fade away into
Dreamland.
Alisha Roof, how are you tonight?
Doing well, how are you?
I'm great. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
It's weird because I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm used to listening to other people's problems and what they're about. But right now I live in Greenville, South Carolina area. I am part of a paranormal team here in South Carolina called South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigations. That's a mouthful every single time I say it. So I'm always gonna mess that one up.
Am I right? That's a TAPS team, isn't it? As well?
Yeah, we actually just got approved to be on the TAPS part of it. So we're actually getting our t-shirts in at our team trip this coming weekend.
That's awesome. Where are you guys going for that?
I was going, but now I'm not. But they're going to the Octagon Mansion in Virginia. Was it Whiteville or something?
Oh, yeah.
Starts with a W.
Yeah, I'm actually heading up there myself tomorrow morning.
Really?
Well, not to the same place, but to Virginia, yeah. So.
Last time I was there, I was with our team, but we were at St. Albans, and that was awesome.
Awesome. So, other than the paranormal investigation, what else do you do?
So, best way to describe me is a tarot oracle reader and a quantum healer.
Oh, well, okay, you're going to have to explain because I know like what a tarot reader is and I don't know the rest.
So, tarot and oracle, they're kind of just the same. Tarot is more up to the interpreter. There's a billion different ways to read a card. Oracle, for me, I like kind of to stick with what the book says and not stray too far from the truth with that, because I don't want to distort what they say in a sense. But I use intuition as well, like when I'm talking to them, and sometimes their dead people come in and say, hey, and like cheer them on, and I'm like, do you have like a dead fatherly figure? Not necessarily, kind of like that. It just kind of goes different places.
All right. So why would one seek out an oracle reader?
Well, when people genuinely find me, it's more on the healing side of things. sure, I can tell you what can happen in the future, but I'm more concerned about what we have to do to get you there. What kind of traumas and loops and ancestral baggage we took with us here that we have to break so we can get somewhere else.
Okay, interesting. So let's back up for a second. What got you started in all this? The paranormal investigations, the tarot, the oracle, the healing? What got you started in that?
Goodness, I can be here for days. To sum it up quickly, I guess, in a way, I've always been the paranormal. That's where it all first started when I was younger. I never found it. It always came to me. It started off by me not being able to sleep one night, so I slept with my mother. And I was staring at the bathroom, and all of a sudden I heard something say, "What are you looking at?" It's so loud. There was somebody there. But it wasn't my brother. It wasn't. I could see them. It was the bathroom. There would be a light. And that I was like, I can't believe what I just heard. And I flipped over and I kind of like put my head under the covers. Because what else are you going to do as a kid, right?
Right. It's what I do now.
I used to do that. Now I'm like, go away. But it's always followed me. I used to get tapped on the shoulder at night. And I've always had experiences. So I was like, I know there's something there. And I want to prove it to the world that there's something there. But not yet. I had to kind of find a way in or around it. You know, you're growing up in high school and all that. You don't want to be like, hey, I'm into the paranormal and I'm into mystical stuff and ghosts talk to me. You know, you don't say any of that. I played sports. I was an average person. You know, I was able to blend in with the crowd. But it kind of faded away for a while, or I kind of like ignored it, I would say. But then I moved to South Carolina and I was like, I want to be on a paranormal team. I want to see this for myself finally, once and for all, like in different locations. And yeah, the rest is history. I joined the team and here I am with them.
So you flipped the script on them. Instead of them seeking you out, now you're seeking them out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. So what age would you say that started at?
As young as I can remember, I would say about 5 or 6.
Did you ever tell your mom?
Oh yeah, the first time it happened, I was like, Mom, something just said, what are you looking at me? Like, what? I was like, I don't even understand. She's like, you're just crazy. And I'm like, no, I heard it. Like, you have to trust me. And I couldn't drop it. I mean, it was I couldn't even believe it. And that voice will never leave my head because it's the first time I've ever heard something like that. But throughout the years, my mom started experiencing things too, and she's a bit of a intuitive and psychic herself. Like, she's a human lie detector. Don't lie to her; she'll know. But she's kind of had experiences, and she started believing me more and more. And now we're like peas in a pod about it.
I think that a lot of times, one of the things that happens is that the parents know, and they know something is there, but they don't want to ensue that horror by telling you, yes, I know something's there, but in return, I think that maybe sometimes that's better. It helps things along better. But as a parent myself, what else are you going to do? You know, you want to make your child feel comfortable and good and safe, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's partly why I dove into it more. I mean, it really after my son was born in December 2019, and I was like, okay, after he was born, I had the opportunity to stay home with him. I'm going to start practicing more. So first thing I ever did was pick up a tarot deck, and just started to learn it, and basically battled myself up and down, you know, spiritual journey. You hate yourself, you love yourself, and that's when it all kind of started flowing more. And the whole reason is, you know, I grew up seeing things, hearing things. What's the chance my son's going to do the same thing? I'd rather say, I can help you through this instead of, oh, you're just crazy.
Right.
We have to go get you some medicine because you must be seeing things, you know?
Right. What would you say, as personally, as a child anyway, that your most terrifying experience was?
I've had a few. The first one that immediately pops in my mind is when it was like sleep paralysis, but I was wide awake in my room and I decided to open, you're in the middle of sleep paralysis, I'm on my back and I feel like I'm being pinned down. So unlike most people, I open my eyes because hey, why not? And I see this like bat-winged lady with like a succubus almost, just in my face laughing at me. And my heart about dropped. That was the worst. And I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. My whole body was like shaking. But you had to like, I don't know how I snapped out of it, but I did. That's probably the scariest thing. And it's probably the most surreal thing that's happened to me. But they used to bother me a lot. The demons, they used to kind of mess with me a lot, but I was terrified of them. Not anymore, though.
Okay. So let's fast forward to now. Now you're reading tarot and oracle, and it explain to me why someone would find you after or need that. That's a better question. Why would somebody need that?
A lot of people want to find out what's going to come and how do I get there. The majority of the readings that I do, people are usually seeking guidance of do I go left or do I go right? How do I make this decision? How do I move forward? Some people, it could be about love, money, what say you? It's any topic under the sun, really. If you just want guidance in a certain direction, I can help get you there easier than you could yourself figuring it out, in a sense. It's just very good life coach guidance, kind of healing sort of thing.
All right. And you're a quantum healer as well. What exactly is that?
So quantum healing, it's a new modality that I entered. I'm currently a student and it's called Decode, and it stands for Disruptor Code. That's the modality I'm currently doing. So basically there's a few levels to this, but I'm in the first level. As a practitioner student, we're about halfway through being done. But basically, to sum it up, I take people's ancestral garbage and karma loops and all this baggage we bring from us from different lifetimes that we store in our body, current emotions that we can't release, that it becomes disease. We store it in our body and it just can't hold it anymore, and it comes out as allergies or eczema or a rash that just won't go away. There could be an energetic cause behind that. The body doesn't lie, and it shows you the way and it gives you clues. You just have to piece all of it together. You use the meta and you use the physical, and that's what I love. It's a balance between the two.
Okay. So this is something that can be taught?
Oh yeah, it's anything. What I've realized is anything is like, even this metaphysical, it's all practice. Anybody can do it. You just have to get the right mindset. It really is all about language. Once you reverse that and switch your mindset, you can almost do anything.
Okay. So say I'm an incredibly angry guy. I'm angry all the time, but I don't know what pisses me off all the time. Is there something that you can do there?
Well, yeah, I would say, what pisses you off? That's how I would start. For example, what pisses you off?
really, what doesn't piss people off?
Well, what sends
Sometimes.
you, the difference is what sends you into a rage. We track, everything has a charge. So most things that we hold become layers throughout our life, just like an onion, and you have to de-layer it. We have to take the charge out of every situation that triggers you. Triggers are a big clue in why you're holding something. So you take that trigger, it's like a giant tangle of necklaces that you slowly detangle, and you find the point of origin, and you can just eliminate it all.
Okay.
In the shortest way of doing it. These sessions can go 1, 2, 3 hours if they needed to.
Wow. And what happens in a session?
Um,
I'm asking, I only ask difficult questions.
oh no, basically we get into, I do an energy expansion, and I kind of get them settled into a comfortable place, and I ask them, can I proxy their body? So what that is I kind of shut all my bodily sensations down and feel what they're feeling, kind of like what an empath does. And I will say, ooh, my ears are burning. For an example, I would say, why are my ears burning? Why do I feel this? And someone said they had a kink in their neck there, and it was right above the ear, because the ear was right above it. And what I did, long story short, is I traced it and tracked it, and I went into her records and found out it was a record where she got kicked in a past life and held in aggression, and fast forward to this life, it was being afraid of going to certain doctors and stuff. So we got rid of that, and she said her neck felt better.
Well, that's cool. So how do you know? I mean, how can you tell, like, by going back? You say go back through the records. What does that mean?
So the Akashic records, it's basically like a giant library of our past lives, or all of our human past lives, or anything on this earth. Because we can have more past lives than just human. We can have fairies and elementals and all these different things.
Okay. And how do you access that? Is that something that they teach as well?
Yeah. We do a lot of, I won't say meditative work. Everybody gets it in their own way. The first time, it's just practice. You keep trying, and you kind of get, we have a meditation where we get guided into it first. So you learn to get into it, kind of follow the voice, and it helps. But then you get faster and faster at it, where you just kind of like see a door, you pop in, and you're like, hey, there I am. It's just all practice in creating those neural grooves that make the connection quicker. It's practice. And
Okay,
play.
interesting. So do you believe that we are all, I mean, obviously you believe that we've lived several lives and all of that. How does that fit into the ghosts and paranormal investigations?
For me,
Because if we're, you know what I mean? Because if we don't really die and we reincarnate, then how does that fit into?
so right now, most people, ancestors, they're either stuck here on Earth or they're in the Bardos, which is what everybody would say heaven. But really, they're just kind of trapped there. We're not supposed to be, but it just kind of ended up like that. And now it's, what I do is unwind these ancestral loops that got people caught here in the first place and free them to go out into the universe and be beyond a soul of Earth.
Okay.
Now with paranormal, what I think is awesome is I've been trying, I plant little Easter eggs and little experiments for myself. But I've been able to energetically go onto a person's property and clear things and take away souls or entities or whatever is not supposed to be there. I'm still working on strengthening that, but I can do that. And I planted a little Easter egg, and I was like, okay, universe, if this worked, let's at least reschedule or make this case not happen. And it got rescheduled. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I did that a few times, and that's the same outcome it had. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something here. And I was talking to my mentor and another advanced practitioner friend, and they were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a strength you have. So I was like, cool.
That's pretty cool.
We can do a lot more than we think we can.
Oh, yeah, I believe that for sure. So I'm slow and I'm a bit confused, and I'm sorry. So here's where I'm getting hung up at. Okay, so if I die and I reincarnate, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've done this 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm confused as to where like ghosts fit in. Do you understand? Like if I reincarnate, then why is there a ghost of me or a ghost of anyone?
Because your energy and the energy of you still exists. The soul of you moves on. You can still go wherever you want, but the energy of what you once were still exists on this earth. That's why you find some spirits that are in a loop. They're just a ball of energy going around and around, and you have to kind of stop that. That's why what I'm aiming to do is kind of mix the both, like, and take the other side and be able to move them on and get them out of this.
Okay.
I'm doing little experiments of things that I want to see are possible, so I've got a lot of ideas.
So, okay, I get it now. It's making more sense to me that, so your energy and your soul are two different things. All right, I got it. See, I told you I was slow.
It's okay. I mean, the human brain can only process so quickly. I totally get it. It's like a bomb I dropped on you.
Yeah, because, there's so many different ideas of what, I guess, a ghost or a spirit is, right? Like, everybody has their own little idea. You know, I've heard everything, man. Everything from, it's somebody who died, that they died in a crazy way or weird way or a way that they shouldn't have died in, all right? I've heard, it's just somebody who died and can't find their way to whichever end of the spectrum they need to go, heaven, hell, wherever. Yeah. I've heard, that, just so many things, like there's so many different things. So I've just never heard it that way, I guess. So that's pretty cool.
Here's an example of, one case I was on really tried to implement it to. There was a spirit of an older man. He knew I was coming, and he was kind of like glued to me and wouldn't leave me alone. But he refused to leave his house. He was like, nope, I am stubborn as a mule. I am not leaving this house. I was like, okay, so what if we can unwrap the layers? What does this house mean to you? And I was like, talking to him that way and kind of unwinding his attachment to move him forward. So eventually, after a lot of back and forth, he moved on. So a little bit of forcefulness too, but he was pretty stubborn. So I was kind of listening to his story, and that enough is unwinding for some people.
All right, makes sense. I'm with you now. I'm good with you now. We're friends again.
Good.
So, all right, tell me about some of the paranormal investigations that you've been on here in South Carolina or anywhere.
So in South Carolina, we do basically residential cases, people's houses. And we have them all throughout the state. We have a team on the beach, in the low country, in the Midlands, and the upstate. So we've been in North Carolina too, in like Asheville area, the mountains. So we'll go if it's not too far away, in North Carolina. But that takes some planning prior to get a team to do it. A lot of cases, it's hit or miss. It's not always guaranteed. However, I pride myself on being the EVP queen because I always capture some sort of ghost voice a lot on my audio recorder.
Do you think that's because they're possibly attracted to you because of what you can do?
Yeah. No doubt. I am a magnet for them, and I know they're around me. That just doesn't bother me. I'm like, okay, come on in. You're giving me good evidence. That's what I want. I want the evidence too to be like, listen, if anybody knows me, they know I don't like a liar. And my close friends are like, holy crap, you got this? I'm like, yes.
So you got some good stuff, huh?
We've been on the battleship in Wilmington, and we were at, that one was fun. I got an EVP of a sailor up in like the bridge calling me the CU, you know, the rest word.
Ooh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday or whatever they call it these days.
Yeah.
I did not know what that meant until somebody told me. I'm not
funny.
that old, but I'm like, I don't know anymore. I'm in my own little world half the time.
So, tell me about some of the most memorable, I guess, cases that you've been on.
Actually, the one I was just on here in the Greenville area, not too far away from where I'm located, I was like, wow, that's pretty close. This couple just has things happen right in front of their face. People have seen shadows walk by. I mean, there's things that fall off the shelves. There's shower curtains that move and things drawn on. I mean, this place is activity for sure. And we were there, and me and my teammate sat at the dining room table, and she had made one of those portals that eliminates all the static on the spirit box so you can kind of hear it better.
Yeah.
And she put it on a little amp. So I was like, get your portal and let's see what we can find here. And we immediately started getting conversation. And we had a REM pod out. And we were like, okay, like, sit down at the table with us, welcome. And we were like, can you touch the REM pod for us? And just let us know you're here. He was pretty cooperative. It ended up being the woman, the wife's brother. That's who it was. We were like, hey, can you like touch the REM pod and let us know you're here? And he touched that thing and just held it for about 10 seconds. And all of our K2s were lighting up. And we just kind of, you just sit there and watch it at that point. You're like, this is really freaking happening. Like, holy crap. No one's doing anything. Nothing changed. And everything goes off like a Christmas tree.
Makes
right
it fun.
on command, too. So it was very intelligent.
That's really cool.
We had a similar experience in St. Albans, in the little boy's room. The only way that the tour guide said the only way that you would, I guess I listened to the finer details of things, the only way he'll come out and talk to people is if someone's standing and protecting the doorway because there was a creepy sexual man there. So I told my teammate, I was like, go sit in the doorway and protect it so no one can come through. We had a REM pod in there again, and we were like, okay, you can come out. We managed to get him out, and he started touching the REM pod, and it started flickering and going off. And all of a sudden after that, he just took it, held it again, like 10 straight seconds, and everything started lighting up. And then one of our teammates tried to run upstairs and see, and I was like, oh no. And he ran back in the closet. But that was pretty cool too. Like, just to see it on command is amazing.
I'll bet. So I've always been curious, what kind, if any, type of research do you do on a place before you go? Say, Jack and Diane down the road from me call you one day and say, hey, our house is super haunted. we think it is. Can you come check it out? Do you guys do research before you go in?
Yeah, we have a case manager that interviews the client and gets, what's going on. And a lot of the teammates, we create teams to go out there, and a lot of the teammates, we look at the history, who owned the property, where it was at the time, and kind of look in the background of things. And I mean, a lot of places around here were like Cherokee anyway, so we have a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But we all kind of do our own research. We kind of put in the same effort. Some people more than others, but that's just what it is. Some people love doing it, and you're like,
That's
okay,
a
go
team.
ahead, right? Yeah. And there's some people that could do other things better. Tech guys, for example, and girls, they can do that better than some. There you go. Everybody's got a role.
Oh yeah. So, in the end, say you go in and you determine a place is haunted. What happens then?
So after that, we have some senses, and we can usually determine pretty quickly if there's something here, something not. Especially we go through our audio, and usually within the week we can come back to them with a full report. Is it haunted? Is it not? And what we do after that is we will cleanse it for them, protect it for them, whatever it needs to be done in the house, unless it's out of our scope. That's what we'll do for them, and try to stop it all from happening and quiet the noise down.
Do you guys work closely with like a psychic, a medium, or actually any religious affiliation?
We have a remote viewer. She's actually over in the UK. We'll send her pictures of properties in the client's home, and she'll tap in and remote view, and she will pick up what she's getting on, do like a reading from the UK on the house, and write it up for us to kind of tell us what we can look out for. We don't tell the client. We have to, research that and back it up ourselves. But she kind of tries to give us a heads up, and she's pretty good at what she does.
Interesting. Yeah, remote viewing is fascinating to me.
It really is.
And apparently everybody can learn that as well. I don't know.
You can.
I think everybody can learn
Anything.
I
You
think,
just
yeah,
wanna
I
have to
think
do it.
even to become like a psychic or a medium, I think that some people, it comes naturally to them. I actually believe that it comes naturally to everybody, but some people hold on to it better than others, and they have to be retaught it if they want to learn it.
Well, it's like when everybody is a little kid and they all start in little kid soccer. The ones that suck are going to fade away, but the ones that like it are going to keep going with it.
Yeah, true.
It's kind of like a
Very
sport.
true.
You just practice and get better.
Absolutely. So, have you ever run into any demonic type activity while you were out there in the field?
Oh, yes. I feel like that was like my first, after I had my son, my first case back was a residential case that had some not so good things in there. And I distinctly remember, this is before I was super practicing and tapping into my intuition. There was this one bedroom me and my teammate walked into. It was red on the wall, blood red color, and it was like just creepy feeling. You just get that creep feeling, like someone's like, get the heck out. Well, my clairvoyance kind of picked up, and I was almost face to face with this thing, watching my teammate set up a camera, and I was like, I don't feel very comfortable. I'm just about to slide out of this room. So I had my audio recorder with me. So I walked out of the room, and my audio recorder picked up like a hiss, like a get out of here kind of thing. And then you hear my teammate go, she's also sensitive, she's like, did you just hear that? I go, yeah. What was that? That was kind of freaky. I guess when you hear the hiss, it ain't, a spirit or anything. But they were kind of into black magic and stuff. And a lot of things that people are into can can bring on hauntings if they don't
Agreed.
do it correctly, and a lot of people don't.
I know, like, the Ouija boards get a really bad rap, but for a long time, and for someone who knows how to use them, I think they're really, really good tools if you know how to open the door and close the door and protect yourself.
Exactly. That's like anything. As long as you know what you're doing with it and you properly use it like machinery, it'll be just fine. It'll work with you.
So, what is one of the craziest experiences you've had while you were out there?
I have a few. The one that I've seen with my own eyes was another residential case. Smallest place I've ever investigated in my life. I was like, this is it. But we were all standing in there, and we were getting activity in this one tiny little place, and I was really shocked at it. And I thought somebody was standing next to me on my right, like almost shoulder to shoulder. So I finally looked over because I was going to move over because, you don't want someone on your shoulder. I don't know you, don't touch me.
Right.
And I look, and there's this giant black mass standing next to me. I'm like, whoa, did I just see that? And then I kind of like moved back to refocus, and just kind of during that time, my teammate was taking photos in our general area, and there was just like this giant fog in the room that you didn't know where it came from. And then in other pictures, it cleared up and it was gone.
That, the shadows and the black masses and things like that, what are they always, do you think, negative energies?
They're associated a lot with it. For most part, I would say yes, and what I've experienced, but not always. There are different cases to everything. I take it by an individual basis and kind of like sum it up as, for the most part, black masses are, not the best.
How do you feel about, I'm sure you've heard of cases of like shadow people, and I think there's even the new one, the Hat Man and all that. What do you feel about that? And have you ever been on a case where someone claimed that they've seen that?
It's funny, a couple of our teammates, we got talking about the Hat Man, and a couple of our teammates had said they have seen him. He just stands in the doorway and watches you, and once you spot him, he goes away. But who knows how long he's been watching you? That's creepy. And the people that kind of, we were kind of putting our heads together, and I think a lot of it with the Hat Man, it's like he likes absorbing the negative energy and like the emotions and anger, and like just feeds off it in a sense. So he watches. He just takes all the energy. He doesn't necessarily mess with you.
Yeah. So I have a couple experiences, and one of them I've already told on the show, but I'm going to tell it again because I want to tell you.
Sure.
So when I was a kid, I don't know how old, like maybe 9, 10 years old, we lived in a ranch style house in Ohio, and I was cleaning my room one day, and I forget why. They were probably going to buy me a toy or something. It's the only reason I would clean my room, I think. But we had this big toy box right by the door, bedroom door, and it had shelves up on it. And I remember I was cleaning out the toy box and putting stuff on the shelves. And my mom was at the store, and my stepdad was in the front of the house. And the only thing left beyond my room was their bedroom, the master bedroom. And it was just right around the corner, maybe 4 foot. So I'm in there cleaning away, and I was waiting for my mom to come home, and I remember seeing this black shadow go past my door real quick, and just out of the corner of my eye. And I was like, oh, sweet, mom's home. I'm going to make sure my room is cleaned enough. You know what I mean? So I go running out of the room, run into their room, and I'm like, Mom. Looking around, there's nobody in there. Freaked me out, man. I mean, to the point where I didn't even want to be in my room anymore. Freaked me out.
Yeah.
So that's one story. That's my story with the shadow people. That's the only one of those I have. But when my oldest son was, he's going to be 20 now. So when my oldest son was, I think 8 or 9, I used to fight professionally. I boxed and did mixed martial arts and all kinds of fun stuff.
Nice.
So I would I'd be at the gym all day, and then I worked nights, and then I'd wake up with him, and we'd start the whole routine over again. I'd take him to my grandmother's house, and she would babysit him and this and that. But one morning, I woke up and I walked out, and he was sitting in the living room eating a bowl of cereal and I think watching SpongeBob. And he says, "Hey, Dad." And I said, "Hey." And he goes, "Dad," he goes, "Who's that man in your room?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "There was a man in your room. He was there for like a long time." I go, "Yeah, it was creepy." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, he was just standing in the corner right by you, staring at you the whole time you slept." He goes, "He had a hat on and a long coat." And I went, "Oh, man." I don't even want to go back in there by myself. I'm a big sissy. I'm not joking. So
that's okay.
Yeah, that creeped me out, man. I'm like, nope, I'm done with that. So
I honestly would get the heebie-jeebies if I were you too. I don't care how brave someone is. That's just creepy knowing someone watches you when you sleep.
Well, I talked to him about this. It wasn't too long ago at all. And I asked him, I said, "Do you remember that?" And he goes, "Do I remember that?" He goes, "That guy used to be in there all the time. He would just watch you sleep. I see him almost every morning." I was like, "Oh man, that's really creepy."
It's probably better that you didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it was because I was under some stress and it was feeding off that energy or something like that.
That's what
possibly.
I found to be the norm. They feed off you. It doesn't necessarily, like I said, they just watch you and just suck all that negative energy.
Yeah, because I've never heard of like the Hat Man or anything like that. I mean, shadow people, I've heard them doing really creepy stuff, but Hat Man and stuff like that, they just watch you, and it's weird.
Kind
so
of creepier.
I think there is something to that. Yeah, there is
now
something
you're
to
gonna
that.
make me look over my shoulder.
See, I creeped you out. How's that work?
Well, I've never had an experience, and I don't intend to with him. But I'll still be like, "Is he there?"
I've had some pretty good experiences in my life, man. I mean, some pretty creepy stuff, but I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm such a sissy now about it.
Oh, I was afraid I would have lights turn on, TVs turn on. I remember one night I was sleeping, and it was when my husband was just my fiance at the time. He was in the Army, and he was getting ready to deploy, so he was gone a lot. And we had this old giant, like 40-inch box TV in the living room, and it just turned on one night, and on everything it could be on, it was on The Walking Dead. Ooh. And I was like, no matter what I was like, I don't even want to get up and turn the TV off right now.
Yeah, man,
but I kept hearing zombies, and I was like, oh my god, this is so freaking creepy. I grabbed my dog.
What is happening right now?
It is. You're kind of in shock for a second, because you're like, is this real?
Yeah,
and
no
then
doubt.
You're like, there's no other way. And you try to put logic to it, and you're just like, I can't explain it. It's just, you have to be there to believe it.
Yeah, weird stuff happens all the time, and I think that some people are more... I think that everybody has had some sort of experience.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But some people are more willing to come forward with it than others. Like me, I don't care. You call me silly, call me whatever you want. I know what I know, you know?
That's exactly what I say. Like, if you don't believe me, you can go kick rocks. I don't really care. I know what I know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Seen what I've seen.
And you know what's going to happen is, sooner or later, that person is going to have a crazy enough experience, and you know who they're going to come to?
Yeah.
People like you and me that have been saying this for how long?
Oh, they already have.
Yep.
I'm like, welcome to the show.
That's awesome. So, there was another question I was going to ask you. Good thing I record, huh?
Oh my god, I forget what I'm saying half the time. Don't worry about it.
Well, the wife and I went out and had margaritas before I came home, so that didn't help either.
Hey, that's fun though.
Yeah,
Nothing like a good
we try to-
margarita.
No, we love margaritas. We love them.
Hell yeah. They're dangerous though.
Oh, they're really dangerous.
Pretty sure I
What the-
had one at a Mexican restaurant, and I'm pretty sure I had one beer after that, and I was like blacked out on the couch. I was like, what just happened?
Kicked you in the ass, didn't
Sure the heck did. I don't know, they put Jose Felipe in there or something, because that thing had me knocked it down.
it? That's funny. So, okay, I know what I was going to ask you. So, you mentioned sleep paralysis. You had a sleep paralysis case, and I know that's pretty common with like succubus and incubus and things like that, like negative spirits. There's people that have the hag experience and all that. How many cases have you seen where somebody claims paranormal activity along with the sleep paralysis?
I've noticed that go hand in hand with people who end up being more sensitive than they realize, and ghosts and stuff just messing with them, and to the point where it's finally smacking them in the face. But then we kind of teach them, like, hey, you're a little sensitive, so they're going to be attracted to you. This is how you protect yourself. We can protect your home and, place salt around and do whatever we got to do. So that's how I've seen that kind of go hand in hand.
Okay. Now I'm an all-around paranormal guy. When I say paranormal, I'm talking the whole dang spectrum. Like aliens and Bigfoot. I'm all of that. Cryptids. I'm all about all of it. And I think that for the most part, from everything that I've researched myself and talking to however many people that I've talked to about this, I really feel like a lot of that goes hand in hand and fits together somehow. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I know aliens exist. We talk to them all the time. I mean, the little academy that I'm part of, we channel alien collectives on a regular basis. I mean, I'm not even afraid of them anymore. I'm just to the point where we talk to the Lemurians and the Syrians, and there's a bunch of different alien collectives out there. I can go on and on and on and on.
And how do they help you out?
Well, so time is only linear here. And we're finally kind of jumping into a galactic timeline, the Orion War timeline, which has already been complete, but we're finally in a certain part of it. So that's why we're seeing all this crazy crap happen. Why are you seeing all these elemental storms happening and these floods and building collapses and all this stuff? It's to be expected, but it's like blowout from that, if that makes sense.
Pandemics and such?
Yeah. Well, the coronavirus was technically to keep everybody inside and start to reflect on their life and try to ascend consciousness, but some people are just very codependent and cannot stay home. I was made for it. I'm an introvert for life.
I'm not. I have to have people, man. I love talking to people, so.
I like talking to people, but I think I'm that kind of person I kind of roll with it. I have a crazy sense of humor, and I kind of swear like a sailor sometimes, but
So do I. So, with that being said, in the whole alien thing out there, how do you feel that fits in with spirits and things? I'm getting to a point, so.
Well, for one, we have, spirit guides. Everybody thinks it's just like spirits of your ancestors and stuff. That's true and all, but there's also galactic versions of you that are your spirit guides. They don't really mess around as far as with spirits and ghosts, but in and of themselves, they do come here. The Greys do come down here. They do interfere with people. They implant tech in people. I mean, what they do.
Do you think that's for a good reason? Do you think they're doing it for a good cause?
So, there's something called the Elite Seven. And these are all the nefarious collectives that kind of want to keep us humans kind of in like the mind lock of the 4D grid, like politics, left or right, one or the other, and not meet in the middle. It's kind of like why everybody just, all the sliminess is in politics, because they just want to keep us suppressed. So that's what they're trying to do, but there's more good than bad out there. So it's kind of like a war, but on an energetic plane that nobody can see here.
Okay.
It's a lot more than we think, and unless you kind of look for this, you're not necessarily just, you're not going to hear people talking about it on the side of the road.
Right. What I've talked to somebody who believes that the incubus and the succubus are actually aliens. What do you think about that?
So the aliens would be correct, honestly, because demonics, they have a collective. And then the Luciferians, they're more nefarious than the demonics. They have their own collective. The demonics, everybody they have a bad rap on Earth because, you know, they're so mean and bad, and the Bible says they're really bad and they're going to kill you and torture you. Yeah, that's good and all, but they're actually off the dark grid and don't really give a crap anymore. So usually when I go to a location with a demon, I say, hey dude, do you know? Go check the grid, you're not plugged in it. And they check it and they're like, oh, well, I'm leaving.
So are you saying that evil spirits and demons and that are actually aliens, or am I misinterpreting what you said?
You're on the right track. I mean, you do have just dark energies from past human lives and stuff. That's all created too. You can create consciousness from just negative thoughts, and it can create its own personality if you let it brood enough. That's why you sometimes see these weird hauntings with just like little gremlins and stuff, you know, attached to people. I forgot where I was going with that one. Where I just blanked out. Where was I?
Talking about that's why you see like gremlins, and because of the dark things that attach themselves to
and
people?
then I mean that's just kind of how they show themselves too. A lot of spirits try to like make themselves look like a little badass, and they're really not. They just want you to leave them alone. You just call them out. All you gotta say is, go away, I know you're there. And they're like, oh shit, I'm out. Like when you have a bad day and you just feel that negative energy around you, and you're like, you just feel pissed off. Like you said, you just feel pissed off. It's because they're around you doing that to you, and you're feeding it, they're feeding you. It's just cyclic. So what you gotta do is just fake it till you make it. Or you say, I know this ain't me, this is you, get the hell out. And they go, oh, jig is up. And they leave. It's that easy. We overcomplicate it so much.
It reminds me of have you ever read, I don't know, I read a lot, so I read Clive Barker's books of horror. Have you ever read them? So there's a really cool story in there you should check out, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's a really cool story. It's about this guy who moves into this house, and he has this demon attached to him from the house. Somehow he got this demon attached to him. Well, his daughters, he can see it and he knows it's there. He just leaves it alone. He doesn't pay any attention to it. So his daughters come, and this thing starts causing hell because the demon's boss is putting all this pressure on him to get, things done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the guy pretty much just makes the demon his bitch because he will not pay it any attention. And this thing is, it burns down his house. It does all kinds of stuff just to get under this guy's skin. And pretty soon it just gives up and says, all right, well, I can't beat you. So that's an interesting concept when you say that. When you have
it's that easy. Yeah. It's pretty similar to that one now that you describe it. It's exactly like that. You don't let them get under your skin, you call them out, except they don't burn your house down.
Yeah. Well, you gotta dramatize it a little bit, but it was really like I thought about that after I read that story in that book, and I was like, that's really interesting. I wonder if that applies anywhere, because I've never really thought of it that way.
Well, it's funny, like a lot of things people are in sci-fi movies, there's threads of truth in everything. You got to think, who's writing this stuff? Are they can they channel and not know it, like dumb channeling, and get this information and downloads from alien collectives and just write about it and put it as a futuristic thing? There's threads of truth in everything. You just kind of have to piece it all together. It's just placed around different areas.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know how they get some of their ideas, but a lot of them, well, if you look at sci-fi movies back in the 50s and 60s, I mean, so much of that technology that they had then is now a real thing, and it's just kind of mind-blowing.
Oh, you can do anything now with technology. Shoot.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember seeing, what was it? Was it Total Recall when I was a kid with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
And they had these TVs on the wall and a handheld TV, and this is the 80s, and I'm like, man, that would be awesome to have something like that. Now we basically have the exact thing, it's like,
yeah, like everyone doing the Back to the Future hoverboard, and we don't quite have the hoverboard, but
yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, it really does mimic science fiction. Really does mimic fiction. Sooner or later, they run into each other.
Well, you got to think about it. Like, I'm pretty sure half my dreams, oh my god, I could make them into sci-fi movies alone, or a horror movie. I had a really creepy dream the other night. I was like, if I wrote my dreams down to someone, they could just make this a whole freaking movie.
It's awesome.
They get scary. But we do astral travel in our sleep too. That's when you have those dreams where like it felt so real, and that's when the ones you go searching for meaning for, those are the ones that usually have meaning to them.
Yeah, dreaming is a whole different ball game for me. Like
yeah.
that is I mean, you're basically in an altered state, taking your mind somewhere else, and it's really incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like I said, time is only linear here, but it's also parallel to us, and we have different timelines, or could have different timelines of us running different places. We call them avatars of ourselves. We could have a different alien version in Syria, or with the Syrians running at the same time right now. Maybe you can pick up their pain. There's so much more than people understand, I think, or are willing to. You just kind of have to find this stuff.
So do you believe in alternate timelines then, correct?
Oh, we timeline hop all the time. I mean, we merge timelines with different galaxies when we go by, and the Earth's rotation with the planets. Everything has something to do with it. Not one thing is not discounted, especially the way planets are aligned and everything. It's just, there's so much behind it. You kind of have to just pick one outlet and then kind of branch from there, because it's just so vast. Just kind of like, but me, I'm a jack of all trades, and I just like stick my toe in everything. So I also know a lot of stuff too.
Heck yeah. Well, that's a good way to be, though.
I just want to be able to have an answer for everything, but the less I search for the answer and just kind of let it flow, that's when the answers come. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense now. But I'm that weirdo that's going to sit there and be like, I'm pretty sure I was sitting there thinking about like leaves on trees and how they, I don't know, something weird, like usually science related, or how the universe works, or how matter works together. That's what you'll find in my brain.
Yeah, I think about a lot of stuff too, like like going back to the timeline thing, like it fascinates me to think. I heard someone say one time that every time we constantly create timelines by just thinking.
Yeah,
Thoughts
you open
are
trajectories. We call them opening trajectories.
Like if you come at a Y in the road, a fork in the road, and you go, am I going to eat this burger or am I not going to eat this burger? And you decide to eat the burger. Well, you just created a thought form, which created a timeline and that alternate you didn't eat the burger, and he's going off while you're sitting there, you know, feeling gross because you just ate a burger.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. And eventually you have to go through the gross stage, and he's like, I'll meet back up with you on the other side. But you got to go through the crappy digestion first.
Do you think that that's why, like, we have so many weird things like Mandela effect and things like that?
Oh, yeah. There's everything. There's nothing that's a coincidence, or there's nothing that just is what it is. There's something always behind that. What created that thought? Where is that coming from? And that's when you dive into this work, you understand why said effect happens in a certain way. It's a mix of science and just energy and a bunch of different things combined. My mind never stops with it.
So I told you that I had a point to get to, and I'm finally gonna. It was a long way around, but I finally am gonna get to my point. All right, are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
I spoke with somebody who threw a curveball at me that really made me think, and this is what he said. What if what we perceive as ghosts and spirits and things like that are just us in a different timeline bleeding through?
Oh yeah, that's totally, like, it's kind of like what's that movie with Matthew McConaughey, Interstellar?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh boy, that's a mind right there. That if you want to start thinking in the end, and your brain never stops, and if you're interested in it, you're gonna open threads. You can have you in a different timeline, just like in this movie. This movie will explain it to you perfectly better than I could. I highly recommend watching it. It's just a great movie, anyways. And Matthew McConaughey is awesome too. So
I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's just, you can warn yourself on a different timeline, but of course you don't see it as being you. You're like, oh, what is that? Some paranormal weird thing? Oh no. But actually it could be you. And you just not pick up on that.
Yeah, that kind of sounds just like what they were
It's totally, yeah. I mean, it is possible. People can't explain it yet, you know?
Well, the way that we got to this was he was on a paranormal investigation, and one of his partners had caught an EVP in this place that they had just investigated months earlier and got nothing. So this time they were there and they got an EVP. This EVP sounded just like the guy who caught it, but he didn't say anything, according to them. And not only that, but he said, man, that sounds like me. What if it was me from the last time we were here? Like somehow in a time loop or something weird.
That's entirely possible.
They went back and reviewed their tapes from the time before, and sure enough, he said nearly the same thing that was on this EVP, and it blew their minds.
Ain't it funny? His energy was left there.
Yeah, it's really strange. I mean, we live in a really strange world, and I tell everybody, there are people out there that laugh at theories, that laugh at somebody that says they saw a ghost, and I don't do any of that. Who am I to judge anyway?
Exactly, right.
Like, we don't know, so anybody that says they know is a liar. So
yeah, that's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah. I mean, you can have your ideas and you can have your theories and you can have that, but that's all they are. Like, you can't tell me for sure, no, this is the way it is.
No, I can't. And perspective's different for everyone.
Right, exactly.
You have different experiences that make you believe slightly something the same, but that one experience makes us different.
Right. And like that even goes back to like investigating, like in the paranormal. Okay, you're investigating a location and you've got 3 people there with you and you see something, but the other 2 people, maybe one of them guys don't see it, and the guy on the other side sees it, but doesn't see the same thing that you see, which is all a matter of perspective, I guess, and what you're open to. And, you know, even though you're all standing there, you all three saw something different.
Well, it's like when you see a car crash, you got Johnny on the corner there who was probably stuffing a hot dog in his face and saw something from the lens of a ketchup on his nose or something. You know, you never know. And then you got someone who was in the car, and then the person that saw it from 2 cars away but was slightly blocked. Kind of like my cousin Vinny when the guy looked through the dirty screen.
Yeah.
You did. Your lens was different than mine.
Well, you know, they say eyewitness testimony is really irrelevant anyway because, you know, I think it's like 2 weeks after, you know, your brain thinks, what your brain thinks is different than what you actually saw.
Yeah, because then you start processing it and emotions start being charged, and one situation that scared you more than the other is going to stick out, and you're going to remember that instead of a different, you know. You can go on and on.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he wasn't eating a hot dog. Maybe he lived in South Carolina and was just on his cell phone, because that's what everybody down here does when they try.
You ain't lying there. I'm like, don't you have a Range Rover with Bluetooth? Like, come on.
It's crazy, man. I sat at a light the other day, a green light. It went green to yellow to red twice, and I'm still sitting there behind this car. And I got mad, man. I'm honking on the horn, and then they're throwing their hands up at me, and I'm like, man, twice, you know?
Yep.
Like, what's going on?
Oh no, I got one on you. I was pulling out of a gas station, going down the lane. It was near, you know, a parking plaza. There's a whole empty parking lot. Just a whole empty parking lot. You park right in the front. There was this car sitting in the lane where people have to drive. And I'm behind her patiently. I'm like, she's got to see me. She just sits there and doesn't move. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
That's annoying.
All this parking space. Who are you picking up where you can just absolutely not move? Because I would love to meet them. They must be like really important.
Right on.
And then I kind of just shook my head. I was like, you know what? I could flip her off and show my Yankee side right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna shake my head and say, bless her heart. That's what they do in the South.
Oh yeah, it is. I learned that one the hard way.
Oh yeah, I learned it too. I was like, wait a minute. Now I know what it means.
Yeah.
Like, don't you bless your heart me?
My wife, some lady said to me one day, and my wife says, she does not like you. I said, what do you mean? She just said, bless your heart. She goes, yeah. She goes, down here, that means something totally different than it means up north.
Oh, yeah. I mean, up north, it's like, literally, bless your heart.
Yeah.
But down south, it means like, F you, kick
dumbass.
rocks, you're stupid.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's funny. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on the show and filling me in on your insight and talking to me about ghosts and quantum healing and tarot and oracle reading and all that neat stuff. I actually feel more informed now because I really had no clue what some of that was. So I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so glad I could explain that.
Awesome. Well, you have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Well, that about does it for Dreamland tonight, dreamers. Thanks again for listening, and good night.